We at the Adventure Bike Shop have used our experience from our own halfway around the world and back travels. To put together a range of products that we think are top quality, will last you a trip. Brands we know and trust, products we've used ourselves. Dumb products, and what am I going to say? Welcome to the Adventure Bike Shop. This is now getting good.
The Adventure Bike Shop, proud sponsors of
Adventure Bike TV.
Welcome to Adventure Bike TV and the beautiful surroundings of South Wales. Now normally we start the show with our bike review, but today we thought we'd just mix it up a little bit. So we've got an adventure first. We were approached a short while ago by a great friend of the show, Mike Stevens. Now he wanted to do the Stella Alpina Rally, but he wanted to do it a little bit differently. He wanted to do it in full retro style. So retro bike, retro kit, retro camping gear, retro cooking gear, everything he could possibly think of. Quite an interesting challenge. So let's see how he got along.
A few years ago, I was riding to Ipswich to visit my father-in-law with my rally suit, my BMW 1150 GS, metal panniers and my hydration system on my back. I arrived at his house and he laughed. He then started telling me about a trip he did to Norway and Scandinavia back in the late 50s on his BSA with nothing but a raincoat and some cash to stay in hostels. And he got me thinking, modern kit, modern camping, do we need it? Can we do it on a retro bike using classic kit? And is it as easy as it once was then? That was the idea behind the Retro Rally. When it came to the kit, it was important it was old, it was classic, or it was retro. So after scouring eBay, friends, stealing and borrowing as much kit as I could, I ended up with some kit I think is pretty cool. Well, it had to be the Triumph. Couldn't get a BSA because they don't make new ones. I don't know anything about mechanics on bikes, by my admission. So the idea of having a modern classic like the Bonneville was an easy decision, and I just think the Scrambler's really pretty. When looking for kit for this trip, I used eBay, camping shops, army surplus stores. Budget was important. I've worked in the camping industry for 15 years, so I have a fair amount of kit already. So it all had to be very cheap. Clearly, one consideration for the trip was always going to be safety. So whilst I was really keen to ride in jeans or use an old-fashioned helmet, it was important they were still safe. So Kevlar riding jeans became a compromise. I went for an open-face helmet from Bell, but also the other area I decided not to compromise was my sleeping bag. Partly because everything on the market that was old was enormous. Other than that, I just wanted to make sure I get one good piece of kit that would keep me warm at night. So, the Stella Alpina Rally. This will be my third attempt at the Stella. The first one we won't talk about, but it ended with a couple of dents on the GS's engine bars. Second one was a huge success. Riding to Bardnecchia, riding up a dirt track 2,500 metres up to the Col de Semilier, and coming back down again before returning back home to the UK. Round trip about 2,500 miles. It's a classic big overlander GS trip, and it was a great way of testing the Scrambler. it's also one I can do with my friends, which is important for this trip. It's hot, 36 degrees according to the roadside sign. Open face helmet suddenly seems like the best idea of the trip. Getting all that fresh air brushing over me has been brilliant news. Here we are, just entered the mountains, just about 20k north of Belay where we start to enter the mountains properly. Bike so far has been absolutely superb. Limited range, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to have to stop every 100 mile. Pulling through motorways is good. No problems at all so far. We get to really start to test it now as we are starting to do the twisties. So why do I need to stop here? This bears absolutely no relevance to the trip.
No, trust me, Mike, it'll work. Just you.
Sure?
Yeah, you just stand underneath that massive cock.
Right, so here we are with my early Trangia. Yes, it's true, you can still buy Trangia stoves wherever you want, but they've all been modernised, and this is an early one that's been around for years. As you can see, it's all dented. Great piece of kit. All fits inside each other and packs away into itself. Still one of my favourite pieces of kit. Basically, you've got your bottom wind protector there. Inside here, you have a little meths burner. Wonderful, simple, stable piece of kit. We're not actually going to be using meths. These have been replaced now with gel or even a gas burner, but we're going traditional with the liquid. On top of that, you put your pot holder, and then you use one of these two pots in there. Simple as that.
Hey, Magwes. We do Look at it now. We do Magwes. Look, we are really professional here.
We've got a cheese grater with you.
We've got mini
Tongs.
cook short wooden spoon.
Yeehaw. This is the life. See this? This is cleanliness. Look. Supplied by
Mike,
my colleague over there.
I'm coming over to this side of the tent.
Good morning. Here we are in this fantastic campsite up in the woods, getting ready for our crossing into Italy over the mountains today. This is my cotton canvas tent. Got it for about 30 quid on eBay. It's a lot heavier than I'd normally use. Its pack size is much bigger than I'd normally use. However, having said that, it's really easy to pitch. It's small enough, and one big advantage is it's very dark in here. So whilst everyone else was waking up really early in the bright sunshine, I was able to stay snugly up in bed for quite a long time. So this is my luggage, not Touratech panniers on this trip I'm afraid, but my canvas rucksack with lots of badges on it. Belonged to a Mr. Clarkhill of Cumbria at some point according to the label on the back. Happily I can say I have been to everywhere there is a badge for, all in the Lake District and the north of England. I think most adventure riders would prefer a hydration system on their back, or a lightweight metal bottle, or a collapsible plastic bottle for their water. I went for a canteen based on a Ward place design. This isn't actually of War vintage, it's a modern plastic one. Does the job, holds water. One big problem with this tent, compared to a modern tent is if I was taking a big bike trip, I would definitely have a tent with a large side opening. I'll show you why. Getting out of it's a pain. Here we are after a hard day's riding, really hot today, some great fun roads, some brilliant coals and a really good day. The scrambler was absolutely brilliant all day, really enjoyed it. We're at the refuge tonight, which is halfway up the mountain. Tomorrow we're going to have a go at the Stella and try and get the bikes up to the Col de Sommelier, which is somewhere up there. Right now I'm cooking tea. We've got beef bourguignon, which looks fantastic. I'm cooking it on the Trangia, so hopefully it'll be cooked before it gets dark. The great thing is about this place is there's no organisation, there's no authority. You just come, you take part, and it's just a good fun place to be. The other thing is no pomposity. You can come on any bike you choose. There's BMWs, there's Kawasaki's, there's KTM's, and to put that point for me, if we just look over there, that demonstrates it quite nicely, I think. Right, well, we've just had some pretty awful news. A chap's just come off the track on a sidecar and looks like he's hurt himself really badly. Paramedics are with him. We all hope everything's okay. It's good news they've been able to get someone out to him, and hopefully they can get it resolved fairly quickly. Still fairly quiet here, quite a few subdued people around. It's put a few thoughts into a few of our heads, but yeah, I'm sure he'll be okay, and let's wish him the best. Well, the air ambulance has been and picked the guy up, taken him away, and the rumours are that it's not as bad as everyone first thought, so that's good news. It does make you think a bit more about tomorrow though, and the ride, and yeah, pretty nervous now. I was fairly nervous anyway, but a bit more. Looking up at that track over Tom's shoulder, it's suddenly looking a bit steeper. It's very dusty on the way up today, but as I said, the little scrambler was great. I'm sure it'll do me very proud. Have to say, it's the only scrambler here that we've seen, and there's lots of GS's, lots of Hondas, but the only scrambler. Yeah, I guess there's a lot going on away from the guys now, and some time for some thoughts on my own. But we'll see what tomorrow brings, I suppose.
Okay, so that was a pretty sobering moment. and we're going to come back to Retro Rally a bit later in the show to see whether our guys even managed to finish it. Now it's time for a break, and when we come back we'll be doing our bike review, and we'll be seeing me doing the first part of my 690 Enduro R rally build.
We have the largest selection of hard luggage under the one roof in this country. Bollocks.
My name is Graham Hoskins, and I am the host of Adventure Bike TV.
My name's Tom Woodrow and I produce the show.
Adventure Bike TV is an internet-based TV channel dedicated to all forms of adventure motorcycling.
Adventure Bike TV is funded completely through advertising, making it free to watch for the viewers. Advertisers have the opportunity to promote their brands and products to a highly targeted demographic with a high disposable income.
So we'd just like to say a really big thank you to all our supporters, and here's just a few of them.
Adventure Bike TV has a massive range of options for advertisers, whether it's in-show, online or through product placement. Graham?
Our advertisers are already benefiting hugely from working with Adventure Bike TV. And if you're interested in advertising, please go to the contacts page on the website.
You're so cool.
It's just so smooth.
We are the sole UK stockist of the Redverse 10, the original park your bike in the garage 10. We also have a range of tents and other camping equipment from a number of trusted brands. That was
Welcome back. Now it's time for the bike review, and for this month's review we're going a little smaller. Our bike reviews on Adventure Bike TV have covered everything from scooters to the big bikes and pretty much everything in between. But it has been a while since we've visited the smaller end of the bikes. So that's where we're going to go with this month's review. Now there's a great value for money brand from Portugal called AJP, and they do a 125, a 200, a 250, and there's even talk of a rally version. But just to give you an idea of what people think of these bikes, Austin Vince has used one on the Vince event for the last 2 years running. This is AJP's slightly older PR4 air-cooled model, which kicks out about 19 horsepower. The producer said, bring the bike down by the river. That'd make a really nice pretty shot, then you can ride it over these slippery rocks on an adverse camber in a space that's too small for the bike. You can do that. Well, I'm sure the bike can, but I think it's a bit beyond my ability. I'm knackered now. Being a slightly older model, it's not the one you'll see in the current brochure, but we like to try out bikes that have seen some real action. And this little beast is no exception, having been used by the Trail Quest Wales School. It is light, firmly backing up AJP's stated intention that this is one of their full-sized introductions to off-road riding. It reminded me somewhat of jumping aboard the KTM Freeride. It doesn't feel much bigger or heavier than swinging your leg over a heavy mountain bike. You can even get a low-line seat if you're vertically challenged. And if you're looking for simplicity, then this bike has it in bucket loads, or maybe that should be thimblefuls. The air-cooled engine has simple 2-valve screw and lock nut adjustment with carburetted intakes. Maintenance? Simple. Let's let's get one thing absolutely straight. As we always say in Adventure Bike TV, any bike can be an adventure bike, and this bike is no exception. Austin Vince has ridden it all the way down to Spain and then done the Vince Expedition on it. And if you're after a bike for green laning, it's perfect. And if you're just starting out, perfect as well. However, for me personally, the PR4 is it's geared a little bit too tall for me. It doesn't have quite enough horsepower, and it doesn't have quite the size and the presence that I feel I'd want for an adventure bike. There are rumours that AJP are bringing out a 600 size adventure bike, and that'd be fantastic if it comes out. But for me, I'd like to see something of this bike that was just a little bit bigger, had some bigger fairing on it, that had a little bit more poke in the engine. Something like, ooh, the PR5 Rally.
This rally bike is based on AJP's PR5 bike. The PR5 range is built around a 249cc fuel-injected engine, producing up to about 27 horsepower. Now this rally version is just a little bit different. It's been given quite a few tweaks with the intention of creating a true lightweight rally bike. So what's been tweaked? We have a dual aircraft alloy tank with a capacity of 17 litres, which should give a range of well over 200 miles. The exhaust has been rerouted alongside the gearbox. The added length and circumference move the power further up the rev range, and a remapped ECU provides the juices in appropriate amounts. Finally, there's an uprated spring to the Zax shocker to cope with the extra weight of a full fuel load, and to tip it on its nose a little bit to speed up the handling.
I've been riding around on the PR5 for a while now. Bit of road, bit of the Adventure Bike TV track, through some water, through some stuff that represents what you'd expect to find on an adventure. And I've got to be honest, I probably wasn't expecting too much, because when I rode the PR4, it's a great little bike, good for track days, good for kind of day little adventures, but not a big long-term adventure. And I guess I was expecting this to be more of the same. I mean, the engine's not that much bigger, it's a 250, but it is water-cooled rather than air-cooled. Obviously, it's a taller bike, it's got the rally fairing, a load of the rally gubbins all over it. But I've really been rather blown away by it. On the roads, it was perfectly capable. It's not going to blow your mind, but you could sit on it all day at 60. And actually, because it's a rally bike, it's got long-range fuel tanks already. So in that respect, perfect. Around the track, I've really genuinely been surprised by it. It's so easy to ride, it's light, going through some of the deep water and the places that I don't necessarily feel comfortable in, even the odd little jump. I've really enjoyed riding it. There's nothing else in the marketplace really that gives you quite the same value for money as this bike. I mean, you've got the KTM Enduro 690R, you've got the CCM 450 Adventure, but this bike for about £1,000 less comes with all the rally kit, the long range fuel tank, the fairing, the road book, the ecosystem. So in terms of value for money, you're getting a lot more straight away. I really do think in terms of value for money, it's sold as a rally bike, but with some luggage on it, it's a pretty damn good adventure bike. We will be seeing more of small bikes in the future, I'm sure, but now it's time for Top Tech.
On this month's Top Tech, we have an amazing tiny stove. It's called the Robins Fire Midge Stove. Right, so let's get the box open and see what's inside. So not only is this tiny, but it's really light, and it has a box that's strangely hard to open. So yes, it's very light. In fact, it's only 45 grams. How did they get it that light? Well, easy. They made it from titanium. Its simplicity actually makes it easy to use. You just screw it onto a gas canister and flip out the pot supports. The flame can be adjusted on the side and comes with this little bag for carrying it. This is the perfect lightweight travel stove. It hardly takes up any room. In fact, I'm sure you can fit it anywhere, a pocket, even cable tie it on the bike for emergencies. And the best surprise, even though it's made of titanium, it's only 25 quid. Check out the competition page of the website for the chance to win one.
James Cargo Motorcycle Shipping sponsors Under the Visor.
Okay, I'm Kate MacDonald, and I rode a motorbike from Sydney to Australia. No, Sydney to England even.
Hi, I'm Will Wilkins. I'm Kate's husband. I also rode my motorbike from Australia to England, and we wrote a little book about it called Wollongong to Woolwich. Really, I would say we wanted to write the book for a memento for us, to keep a record of it. And originally the idea was to do 100 books or something like that, sell maybe to a 50 or so to some interested people, and give the rest to family and friends, anyone who's interested.
Yeah, just to keep the trip alive, I guess, a bit.
And keep it all in one place. Everything that you've done, rather than photo albums here and a folder saved over there. It's just a nice place to have it. We did a blog while we were riding. The blog was basically a way of keeping in contact with the family and friends to let them know that we were okay as we were going. I then cut and pasted the blog into Word. Came up at about 70,000 words. Googled how many words in a normal paperback book, and it was 120,000, and then kind of like positioned it, bulked it up a bit.
And I went through and took out a lot of the swear words.
yeah, there were quite a few swear words.
Yeah.
And then we kept the all the techie bits, bike bits, separate from the story. Tried to and put them in the back of the book as a sort of A to Z of what luggage we used, what preparation we did to the bike. Didn't want to get all that caught up in the actual story. So for the biking people, that's all in the back, on top of the actual story.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I was adding bits that, adding details that meant something to me. I mean, Will had written it, sort of, a lot of it from his point of view, so I sort of added a few bits that are, my story, I suppose, just little snippets, and then basically it was just grammar and swear words.
Yeah, because it took me 3 attempts to get my English O-level, so some of the grammar was a little bit wayward, and lots of being in the wrong tense and in the wrong person, or swapping from I would or we would, or whatever it was as we went through. I guess the book was also a little bit of an up yours to the school O-level system, to actually be a internationally published author who couldn't scrape a qualification when I was 15 years old. Yeah, we promoted it a bit into a few of the magazines. Went into Overland magazine and Motorcycle Sports and Leisure. Did a review of it, and we only printed like 50 or 100 at a go. And each time, because we didn't want them all just sitting around, we weren't trying to make any money out of it or a kind of a business out of it. And so each time it got promoted, there'd be some demand, and so you print a few more, post them out, and it kind of just keeps evolving.
Snowballed from there, I suppose, isn't it?
Don't know about snowball.
That's a strong term, yeah.
small
but putting it on Amazon, I think, also gets it out there, because it just, it pops up on people's, feed, doesn't it? When
I don't know how many times Amazon has tried to sell me my book when I'm on Hotmail. It's quite funny. It pops up in one of the advertising banners down the side. And about 90% of the sales are from the Amazon Kindle, because the book, the hard copy, is only available by emailing and then direct to us, and then we have to go and put it in an envelope and post it. But the the Amazon stuff, yeah, obviously they take a cut, but it just goes on the Kindle one, and so 90% of the sales are on that, and you do nothing except check your reports and go, oh look, another few books sold today. So that's really nice.
We're sort of getting more into the cycling. We just did a trip over this winter in Cambodia and Laos on bicycles, and yeah, sort of planning to go away this winter again, probably on bicycles.
We're not very good at going slowly. We did, the 15,000 miles from Australia to England in 5 months, which is, we're riding along and you see something. Oh, should we stop here? I don't like the look of it. I'll just keep going. Oh, do you need a pee? I'll wait till lunchtime. Yeah, just keep moving. So the bicycles force you obviously to go a bit slower, and you have to stop in a place that you might not want to stop. Don't like the look of the restaurant or the town, but you have to stop there for some food and drink, or just can't go any further. And a rest. A lot of people will say, well, that's cycling. That's not motorbike. I'm suddenly not interested. But it's so fundamentally the same. It doesn't matter whether you've got an engine, doesn't matter if you're on a C90 or if you're on a big GS, doesn't matter if you're on a bicycle. It's once you're out there and you're pulling up into a town, you have to find somewhere to eat, somewhere to stay, meet some people, all the interaction that you have. It's the experiences with the people and the countries. I think somehow you experience them more on a bicycle than you would on a motorbike. But I'm not saying that we don't motorbike anymore. And I would also, we're thinking of Africa, and I still think that 4-wheel drive might be the best way to go, because you can sleep in it or on it and get into the game parks. A bit of a sandy track isn't a problem where you're going to fall off and break your collarbone, but that's still up for a discussion.
Yeah, well, no, not as far as I'm concerned.
The worst experience we had on that Wollongong to Woolwich was it doesn't sound that bad when you sit here like this, but we were stuck at a border between Russia and Kazakhstan, sort of banished to no man's land. We were there for 14 hours. They took our passports off us. We couldn't go backwards because Kazakhstan was dead. Russia wouldn't let us in. No food, no communication with anyone.
Yeah, suddenly everything's out of your control. You're helpless.
In the end, I ran that border on the bike. I just went back round the gate, just went straight through, and went in and started shouting at one of the guards. I lost it. It was completely out of character for me. I went a pretty bit mental, and he calmed me down a little bit when he put his hand on his gun and told me to go outside, please. And went back out there and just sat there kind of staring at the ground, didn't really know what to do. I just thought if at some point, if we did get in trouble at that border, they'd call the police, you'd work your way up through the ranks, and eventually an embassy would become involved and we could sort it out, because we didn't actually know what to do. So it wasn't a life-threatening situation, but it wasn't very pleasant, and definitely the worst thing. One of the reasons about writing the book that I wanted to tell people of our experiences, that we didn't get run off the road, we didn't get held up by bandits, we did nothing terrible happened to us. We only had one puncher between us. We didn't have any great problems. Wanted to say that don't believe the drama queens, and I'm sure these things happen, but bad experiences happen, but lots of other trips are possible with nothing bad happening, and that's what I was trying to say to people: to go and enjoy yourself.
James Cargo Motorcycle Shipping sponsors Under the Visor.
Back in the first episode of Season 2, we set ourselves a challenge to create an adventure stroke rally combination bike. Here's the first update on my build of the KTM 690 Enduro R Adventure Rally Bike. So, it's actually the very first day of my KTM 690 Enduro R rally build, and it's kind of not the most exciting bit of it, because it's simply painting all the fairing that came from Perfect Fairings, of which there are, if I can just count up, 1, 2, 6 pieces, and just doing the usual lots of coats of undercoat, followed by rubbing down, more coats of undercoat, rubbing down, and then the final coat of white paint before we get all the lettering put on it. So, a bit boring, I'm afraid. We are at the Overland Travel event in Great Missenden, which is a lovely event actually. Yeah, very nice. I think everyone here is having a good time. There's, as usual, lots of presentations going on. All of the regular author friends over there. Ted Simons is here. Austin's doing his usual thing tonight in front of what I am sure will be a fairly drunk crowd of people. Got lovely world foods, so it's a lovely event. Adventure Bike TV is here with the Adventure Cinema and the ongoing 690 and Triumph Tiger rally build projects. So I've got the 690 here, Tom's Triumph isn't, and earlier I was spraying all the rally fairing parts and I got them here to try and put them on. The challenge with the particular fairings from Perfect Fairings, which are great, but they don't come with any instructions, so we just basically taking loads of stuff off the 690 in order to try and work out, or even vaguely work out, how the fairings actually go on. And it's slightly scary because it's easy taking stuff off, but I've got really no idea how I'll ever put it all back on. But we'll get through it. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting day. I think we'll take some pictures of the build as it goes along. So after I guess it's been a fairly frustrating morning and afternoon, we have almost got the fairing on. Whether it's on correctly or not remains to be seen. But it's frustrating not having any instructions, and we've had a lot of help from all the people visiting the show. But it is frustrating. But I think we made more progress in the last half hour than probably have done in the rest of the day, because we just managed to work things out. Getting there very, very slowly. So it's been, how can I phrase this, a fraught weekend, I think, in terms of the build of the 690 into the rally adventure bike. But I have actually got the fairing on, and that's pretty much taken me all weekend to get the fairing on. But at least it's on, the tower is in there, and it's rideable. Can't ride it at night because there's no lights on it yet. But it's looking pretty cool. Pretty happy with it actually. Yeah. And so I get it home, get it into my garage, and continue working on it, and roll on September. So I started the build of the Enduro 690 rally bike. Oh, it must be 3 weeks ago now, I think, at the Overland event. Had a little break after the event because I had some stuff to do, and I probably spent a day and about 3 evenings on it. Yes, it has definitely been a little challenging at times. Just getting the fairing to fit, I think, has been the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge has been to get the original clocks from the 690 to fit to the navigation tower that came with the kit. But we are definitely making progress. So here you can see all the signs of some very, very, very busy hands over the last few evenings, and this is Mark 1 of the plate that held on the original clocks onto the new navigation tower, and you can see the navigation tower just here. That's the little beast just there, and yeah, Mark 2, you can kind of see the bits of it sticking out behind it, and that's the navigation tower from the other side with the new Denali lights on it, courtesy of RG products, as are the handlebar ends, which will protect me if I fall off, and we've got a whole other raft of bits and pieces from those guys, and that's the actual head fairing waiting to go back on. So as you can see, it's been a fairly tortuous but enjoyable process, and in next month's episode you're going to see how Tom's been getting along with his Triumph Tiger 800 XC adventure rally build combination bike. Now it's time for a break, and when we get back we'll see what happened in the final part of Retro Rally.
We really care about the adventure motorcycle market and try to make it as many shows as possible to see our customers. So if you can't come to the shop, come see us at a show.
We stock the best adventure bike clothing on the market,
including Climb and Ribbit.
and other brands that we do trust as well. And as you can see, we take this all very seriously.
Welcome back. Now when we left the boys on Retro Rally, it was on a bit of a cliffhanger. We weren't sure whether they were even going to complete the adventure. So let's see what happened.
Morning of the Stella. Didn't sleep that well last night. You can't ignore the fact that, there's lots of people here who've all ridden bikes before, and, people who have bikes have accidents occasionally. I think experience is telling me that I've got to, take it slow and easy. And as an old football analogy I often use about things like this, which is play yourself into the game. You know the limit of your own skills, ride to them, don't try and do anything silly, and get yourself through it. There are some bits up there which I have found a bit nervous in the past. The sand often means the bike will slip a bit. There's a few rock areas which should be okay in this weather. It's when it's wet they're nasty. But yeah, I've done it before once. I had an absolute disaster once as well, where I didn't even make it this far. I was picking my GS up from the road a bit further down. But I've got a good feeling about today, yeah. I think if we take it slow, steady, keep our eyes open for what we're doing, we'll be fine. about 25% of the way up. Little Scrambler's doing really well. Only thing slowing it down is my ability. Still pretty cold, but as the sun's coming up, it's starting to get a little bit warmer. Looking forward to hitting the sunshine. I think I've pretty much been overtaken by everybody else here so far, but hopefully I'll pick my pace up a little bit as we go along. But it's pretty dusty, pretty rocky, great fun, and yeah, let's crack on. Sandy trails and rocky paths and tight switchbacks, that's what I've been riding over all morning. The rocky bits are the worst. They're lumpy and bumpy and the bike's bucking all over the place. If I was more confident standing up, it'd probably be a lot easier. We've even been through a couple of streams this morning, which has tested my ability no end. The ever-changing roads are just hard work, and but you know, up above the snow line, a bit of snow on the side, and some fantastic views. You know, some great things to see. I'm up in the mountains in parts I probably couldn't reach that easily otherwise, certainly this quickly. And yeah, this is a great. That's as far as I'm going today. Badge point, made it. Whew.
Viva la Stella Alpina, it's number one per tutto il mondo.
Video.
Bit rough, but we got here. Might have to wash the bike when I get down.
Leave it on, it looks more manly.
It's been tough. It's been tougher than last year. The rocks aren't great. I'm not going any further. This is my limit.
Absolutely delighted to have made it. It was a long way up here, and just behind me over my shoulder you can see the end of the col. We're not going to go any further. We've made it to the end of the official end of the rally, but it's getting a bit slushy and a bit icy if we go a bit further and a bit higher. We thought about it, but then decided actually we've got 1,000 miles to ride home. This seems like a good place to stop. And that's why we're not going any further. Just help the second guy out of the snow. Quite hard work actually, I'm a bit out of breath. But yeah, definitely time to go down.
Finally got to the top after years of trying, and it was very hard. Dropped the bike a couple of times, but only very slow speed. Yes.
And you don't mean the top as in where you get the medal, you mean the top
I mean the top.
Amazing, well done, brilliant. So this is it, we're on our way home, one of the last campsites we're going to stay at. We've just said goodbye to some of the friends who've been travelling with us, and it's time to have a look at and think about the trip. If I was to do this trip again, On the same bike, yeah, you could do it, no problem at all. But I would change the kit. It'd be a better, more comfortable, more enjoyable trip if the kit I had was modern, lightweight, more waterproof, and packed down smaller. Easily you could do this trip for one person with a small carry bag on the back and a small rucksack. 2 up with a rack on the scrambler, another easy trip too. But lighter kit would have made a whole difference. The bike did its job brilliantly. The only thing that held it back was my ability. Everything else, the kit was restricted. Lighter kit would make it fantastic. To be honest, I think, yeah, it'd have been a very different story on this kit if the weather had been bad. And I think that's where the retro trip hasn't really been tested, because the retro kit hasn't been tested in that sense, but certainly the clothing. When I've done this trip in the past, it's always been on my 1150 GS, which is my bike. I've had it for years. Personally, I love it. And it would take a lot for me to consider selling it. That trip was great. The power of that bike on the mountain passes was fantastic. The confidence on the motorways, solid. It's pure ability off-road, and the things it allows you to do make it a superb machine. However, there was something about turning up to that campsite on a little scrambler. Now, by no means am I a bike reviewer, and this is not meant to be a bike review, but I've kind of fallen in love with this bike. Last night, I had to ask myself the question, as Graham would have done, is there space for one of these in my garage? And without a doubt, yes, I can categorically say that. A harder question is, would I sell my 1150 GS to put this in my garage? And I'm not 100% sure. That'll take a lot more thought. Maybe there's space in my garage for 2 bikes.
Well done, guys. I thought that was an amazing result, finishing the rally. But something you won't have seen on the film was something that got underneath my skin a little bit. Now, the longest distance I'd ever done in a single day on a motorbike was about 860 miles on a trip to Russia about 10 years ago. And Tom, the producer, on his way back from the rally, did well over 900 miles and beat my record. After the rally as well. But hey ho, there you go. Anyway, that's the end of the show. Join us next month on Adventure Bike TV.
Sorry, it's on me?
Yes.
Sorry, there was cameras on.
To be fair, this isn't flattering. This gives you many chins. Sorry. Sorry.
Give me another ring. I'm over the moon to be here.
Hands out your pockets.
Right.
Not behind your back. Express yourself.
Okay, right. Well done, Tom.
Very good.
Very patient of you. Someone picked up an eagle earlier. That's a lie, I didn't pick up an eagle earlier, I just made that up completely. Reservedly, that's not a word, reservedly is a word. Yeah. And unreservedly.
We were approached by a... Oh. Go and wait for the thumbs. Don't go until he does the thumbs. We're going to have our bike review and the rally build, right? Keep on forgetting the thumbs. Yeah. Woo, yeah. Amazing to have achieved. Blow me away with the awesome review, chaps.
Make sure you compare it. One more time and then...
I did great. Great adverts, rubbish at adventures.
You get it wrong, it's yours. Right, we'll do it one more time and then...
I did great. Great adverts, rubbish at adventures.
I didn't hear it click.
It's not. It's a recording. It's not a photo. But we will do a photo after this.
We're talking.
Okay. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Rubbish adverts, great